So today we've got Claire Edwards, and Claire used to work for the United Nations as editor and trainer in intercultural writing from 1999 to 2017. And she's also a co-author of The Appeal to Stop 5G on Earth and in Space. She designed and edited the whole of the Space Appeal, as well as administrated all of its 30 language versions. So I'd like to say thank you very much, Claire, for joining me today.
It's a pleasure, John.
And yeah, you know, we've got this weekend, of course, Friday evening at AMP Studios in London, 897A Old Kent Road at 7 p.m. Mark Steele and myself will be speaking on 5G. And the following day, of course, we've got these the 5G global protest. And of course, I've done a couple of videos with some concerns relating to the protest and the websites that are linked with this. And what are your thoughts, Claire?
Well, I think people may realize by now that I have some concerns. I put out a statement about this last week. Mm-hmm. What happened from my point of view is that I found out just before Christmas that Stop 5G International was being formed. And I found out that one of the members of Stop 5G International actually has her own movement, of which she is a leader. And that movement is called World Shift. And World Shift is an initiative of the Club of Budapest.
It's worldshift.earth, yep.
Worldshift.earth. And the Club of Budapest was started by Ervin Laszlo, who is one of the founder members of Club of Rome. And if anybody looks into Club of Rome, they will find that it set up models. When it was founded, I think in the 1970s, it set up its own models, and those models predicted that the world would become rapidly overpopulated and there would not be enough resources to meet the needs of the population. Therefore, the whole aim of the Club of Rome is depopulation. So you have a clear line then through Club of Rome, Club of Budapest, and the World Shift movement, which was started by Ervin Laszlo, who appointed this lady who runs this World Shift Earth website. He appointed her to lead the World Shift movement. So when I saw that she was associated with Stop 5G International and I started looking into it, I found that she had actually said that she wanted to collectivize the Stop 5G movement and lead it. And I became extremely concerned because I don't believe in collectivization of this movement. And I'll explain that to you shortly. As soon as you collectivize, you open yourself up to manipulation. And when the manipulation in the background may be connected with a depopulation agenda, I think we have to be seriously concerned, because what we're trying to stop here with stopping 5G is precisely depopulation.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. And this is the thing, that all these movements are popping up now, like Stop Ecocide. You've got Extinction Rebellion saying that we're all going to die in 2030. What are the consequences of this Stop Ecocide? I mean, if we're going to criminalize the oil and gas industry, that leaves us with electric. And of course, that's exactly what they want for the smart grids and for 5G. And in regard to collectivizing movements, it's a very dangerous move, because what's working now with the anti-5G activism is local community groups challenging their local town councils. And we're seeing a lot of progress here in Devon, actually, with people going to Devon County Council. We've got a number of moratoriums that have been put through, and the precautionary principle. And I think that the best way to act is just taking power in your local area, you know, knocking on doors, meeting people, raising concerns. When you've got a global movement or some global body that's managing everything, how accountable is that body to the people? You know, are you able to, and it's not, you know, this is the problem. And this is why the bottom up approach, you have to have the foundation there.
Well, I think the place where we can make a real impact is in our local communities. We now have the collapse of the rule of law. So the governments are not listening to all the people putting the evidence before them. They're just ignoring them. So we can see throughout 2019, strategy has failed. So it's very clear now that we have to go local, and we have to have very specific, concrete action that bring concrete results. And I think in the local area, you're much more likely to have a relationship with your local representatives. They are much more answerable to you. So you're much more likely to be effective in your local area. So I believe that this is about local community groups acting independently. I also believe that we need to be small groups. We need to overwhelm the so-called powers that be with unpredictable action, because small local groups and individuals, they tend to be very creative, and they can come up with lots and lots of different, very diverse ideas. And this would be unstoppable, I believe. So as soon as you collectivize, you open yourself up to being misled and misdirected.
That's a really good point, Claire. I completely agree. And this is what I've encouraged in my talks. You know, I'd go and do my presentation and I hand around a form so people can write down their names, emails, and contact details. And then I give a copy of that to whoever's organized the event. And that way you've then got a local movement. So I'll go to a hall, maybe there'll be 100 people, 50 people will write down their contact details. And, you know, maybe 20 people will then turn up at a local group event, and you've got people there making plans, creating strategy. And that's how we really stop this. You know, you can hold up a sign and say, no 5G, but how much is that going to really achieve? And obviously, you know, people are welcome to come on Saturday. I'll be speaking along with Mark Steele. But I just think, you know, in the interests of the general public, it's really important we get this information out there. And obviously, I'm really grateful, Claire, that you're offering your time really to help to do that.
Well, I think people need to understand that the Stop 5G international movement, they are self-appointed. And Arthur Furstenberg, who was my partner, excuse me, on the appeal, has actually merged the 5G space appeal effectively with Stop 5G International. He has become an executive member of Stop 5G International. Now, before he did that, I raised my objections very strongly, especially because it seemed to me that the Stop 5G International movement had been infiltrated by a party that was undesirable, to say the least. But Arthur Furstenberg has effectively actually merged the appeal now with Stop 5G International. Now, I think that as the guardians, if you like, of the appeal, because the appeal does not belong to us, it was a gift to the world. But I think that as the guardians of the appeal, we are answerable to the 190,000 signatories of the appeal. And Arthur Furstenberg was wrong to actually merge the appeal with another third-party organization. The people who signed the appeal did not sign up to join Stop 5G International. So at this stage, I have severed my relationship with the appeal. I have removed my name as a signatory. And people may wish to choose what they wish to do now, whether they wish to do the same as me and remove their names and remove their data, which of course, now that there has been an infiltration, their data may become vulnerable to retaliation. So people need to be warned.
That's right. And of course, you've got general data protection laws, GDPR, where, you know, Arthur, or this new body now, Stop5G International, shouldn't be allowed to send emails out to these signatories because, of course, when they signed, they were not signing to give their data away to Stop5G International. So I think they have to be very, very careful about what they do with the data. And yeah, you know, we really need to just encourage people to work within their local groups. And if we look at the global bodies, you know, all the global organizations such as the UN, the EU, the global charities, the NGOs, I mean, are these compromised? What are your thoughts, Claire?
Well, I certainly think that this agenda is being pushed through these organizations. You can see this in the literature. The same terminology is used right across the literature. This is a global agenda. We should make no mistake about this. This is being pushed from absolutely everywhere. And every aspect of this is singing from the same songbook.
Yeah.
So where we have, I say again, where we have the real power is locally. Our local representatives need to understand that we have the collapse of the rule of law. This is completely illegal. There was a legal opinion put out by a firm of Danish lawyers that very clearly stated it was illegal. In the 5G space appeal, we gave a non-exhaustive list of a number of international treaties which show that this is illegal. So the local representatives have no business obeying orders from national governments that are in fact illegal. And we need to get this message across to our local representatives.
Yeah, thank you, Claire. And I mean, I'm a part of Stop5G UK, and our admin there, Kathy Dowd, when people join, she always directs people to their local Facebook groups. And I think that's where we've got to keep people focused, because with the legal actions, you've got the legal action there in Denmark, also in, you know, other countries, I believe Norway, and we've got to really empower those people. I mean, you know, instead of setting up a global body, why don't these people contact the people within the countries and say, how can we help? How can we help? Instead of...
And if you look at all the different initiatives that took place in 2019, there were a tremendous number of different initiatives from local groups, all sorts of different entities. So what is this Stop5G International actually offering? I mean, we see that for these global protests this Saturday, they haven't actually given any direction as far as I can make out. They've simply stopped at suggesting that there should be a global protest on this day, but there's been no strategy suggested here. So what is the purpose of this?
Well, yeah, what value does it add? You know, I mean, I started up 5gawareness.com to inform people about events. Mostly it's UK based, and I'll put news on there, but I'll never try and coordinate something across the country, because I just feel you've got to let people decide for themselves. And if people want to hold an event, my policy is they can contact me through my website, and I'll go and speak to them. Or if they want to contact with someone in their local area, I'll put them in touch with that person. And yeah, we've definitely got to keep it local focused. And I really appreciate your input today.
Yeah, well, I have to say, one of these people involved in Stop5G International, in an email to me, she said, people are sheep and need wise guidance, which pretty much tells you the whole thing. Now, I don't give people guidance. I'm not a leader. It's not my business to give people guidance. What I try to bring to people is information. And this is why I do presentations and I write articles. But what people choose to do, they should be free to choose what that is. I have every confidence that people know what to do. And I think the whole opportunity of 5G is giving people a chance to actually find their own creative juices and bring out everything that they have to offer. I actually see 5G as a tremendous opportunity for personal transformation. And I myself, in 20 months of campaigning, I have faced all sorts of challenges, and I've been drawn into doing all sorts of things that I've never done before. It really is quite a wonderful personal challenge and an opportunity for personal development and growth. And I think that it's this kind of personal, individual transformation that 5G offers. And I think that when individuals transform themselves, this collectively, not as a collectivized entity, but collectively together as individuals, when we transform, that's how we change the world. Because this is about standing up and taking responsibility. So as soon as you collectivize into a global organization, you have once again handed somebody else the responsibility and handed somebody else your power. Right. So 5G, or the stopping of 5G, for me, is an opportunity to find your power, find your self-expression, find your courage, and take action. So the absolute opposite of that is to have a collectivized global movement.
Right. It's just like Josh Del Sol's documentary, isn't it? Take back your power.
Absolutely.
Let's not give away our power and just say, hey, you know, you can get on with it. Don't worry, they'll handle everything. We have to work. We have to take individual responsibility. And it just shows that people nowadays, they're just not encouraged to do that. But we have to do that in order to create real change. And another really important point is we have to tell the truth on 5G and give people all the facts. And when I was part of the roundtable on the Stop 5G International group, they were talking about, okay, we need to let people know about the health consequences, let the government know, and also about the energy footprint. But what about the fact that 5G is actually a weapons system? It originates in the military, and it's been used for decades, you know, and of course, Barry Trower's talked about this, Mark Steele's talked about this, numerous people have tried to get the word out about this. And this is often the message that's getting censored. And if we look at how the technology is getting promoted, like the smart meters, the LED street lights, the electric cars, it's all being promoted as having a low carbon footprint. It's reducing the energy footprint. So if we play into that, it's not, but we'd be playing into their hands by saying, oh, it's going to be a solution for carbon dioxide and reduce our footprint. That's exactly what they want, what the UN wants through its sustainable development goals. So we mustn't play into their hands.
Well, I totally agree. As soon as you have a globalized movement, you start to have censorship, and you start to have a situation where certain things are not allowed to be said. And I think that's entirely wrong. People must do their own research and make up their own mind. There are 4 microwave weapons experts campaigning against 5G. So to censor the idea that 5G is a weapon is entirely wrong. And this is the danger of collectivization.
There was one other point, Claire, you felt was important to mention, and feel free to go ahead. Was it to do with the climate change?
Yes. No, a number of people in Stop 5G International are actually supporters of Extinction Rebellion. Now, Extinction Rebellion is a death cult. If you look at them parading in the streets, they're spewing blood, they're carrying black coffins, and they're carrying skeletons. This is a death cult. So if you want to stop 5G, then you need to be pro-life.
Yes.
And there's no compromise here. One can't be almost pro-life. One is either pro-life or pro-death. And if you support Extinction Rebellion, you are voting for death. So people really need to make up their minds now. Are they pro-life and they want to stop 5G, or are they pro-death and they want to support what effectively Extinction Rebellion, if people look into the background to Extinction Rebellion, this was also explicitly endorsed by the Club of Rome in a statement last year. So people really need to decide now which way they want to go. And if they choose to support the fake climate change agenda, then in my view, they have no business in claiming to want to stop 5G.
Yeah, thank you, Claire. And I point people towards the Global Warming Swindle documentary on YouTube. It's an hour, 15 minutes, and you've got experts like Piers Corbin, who's an astrophysicist. And this is what I say. I say, go to the independent experts. Don't go to this UN IPCC body of compromise.
The science, again, the science of IPCC has been discredited, and at least 1,000 scientists have completely different views on this.
That says a lot. And of course, you've got 30,000 scientists who have launched this appeal to say there's no global warming alarm. We're being manipulated here. And this 97% that they claim, 97% of scientists, a lot of these are not scientists. And people just really have to have critical thinking skills. And Extinction Rebellion is very fear-based. You know, exactly. And with 5G, it's love-based. We're trying to stop 5G because we love the planet. We want to protect the planet. It's not, and CO2 is essential for everything. Photosynthesis, for plants need CO2, water and sunlight. We breathe out CO2. All living things, animals and humans, breathe out CO2. So with net zero CO2, you don't have any more life because you have nothing breathing out CO2. So that totally backs up what you're saying, Claire, that it's an anti-life.
If they really cared about CO2, they would not be proposing to chop down millions of trees for 5G.
Exactly. So yeah, my message to Extinction Rebellion is, you know, why don't you practice what you preach, environmentalism, go and plant trees and clean up beaches instead of dressing up in funeral attire and scaring everybody.
Because ultimately, stopping 5G actually promotes the principle of care. Because it's when you're faced with the loss of everything you've ever been connected with that you realize how much you love everything. So as you say, you know, the Stop 5G movement, it's all about love and it's not about fear. Fear is a low vibration. If you really want to stop 5G, you need to be in joy and positivity.
Yes, really great to connect with you today. Thank you so much for your input.
Thank you very much for asking me, John, and I wish you all the best for your event on Friday evening, and I wish everybody every success on Saturday. Just because I am opposed to the merging of the 5G space appeal with Stop 5G International, and I'm opposed to any collectivization of the movement, I do feel that people are entirely free and must be entirely free to organize anything they wish to organize, but please let them do it locally as their local groups in their local community.
Yeah, I'd like to second that. You know, Saturday, if you're going to organize something, a protest, go for it, but just make sure you're making the decisions locally and you're doing what you feel comfortable with. And let's stop 5G. Thanks.
Absolutely. Let's stop 5G.